Um, you'll all get the recording tomorrow along with everybody who registered. So we will be doing that. Okay. We do still have some people coming in, but how about we just jump in? I always like to start promptly. That's my thing. So like I said, welcome everybody. It is so nice to have you here for our June webinar. Today, as you know, we're talking about growing your fan base, and that is really about your nonprofit lead generation. Caroline Griffin's going to share some tips and examples for us.
Yay.
But first, let me just tell you a little bit about MemoryFox. If you don't know, we are a technology solution that empowers nonprofits to collect, organize, and share stories that are directly from their community. We are a veteran-owned business. We are located in Buffalo, New York. Go Bills. I personally am in Rochester, New York, so just down the road. And but we really do have employees that live all across the nation. So we are a national platform. And if anybody is willing, I would love to chat with you all a little bit about MemoryFox after Caroline shares all of her great insights with us today. So first, I guess, let me just go ahead and introduce Caroline, and we'll go ahead and get started. She is the founder and digital marketer of Marketer on a Mission. She is a nonprofit marketing consultant and digital strategist. She has had more than a decade of social impact marketing experience. She has a master's degree in marketing and a bachelor's degree in communication. So that's like really the whole realm of things. And she really takes pride in lending a rare blend of creativity and data-driven strategy to every cause and project. We're so thrilled to have her here today. And I'll let you go ahead and take it away. Hi, Caroline.
Thank you so much, Carly. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to present on this topic. It's one of my favorites. Feel free to chat questions along the way. Carly may ping me or stop me if there's a timely question, and I'm happy to answer while we go through, or we'll also have plenty of time to roll through all of those at the end. I love questions. I feel like that's the best way to learn, is to ask me about your specific situation, so that this is very valuable for you and your organization. I'm located in Dover, New Hampshire. So hello, wherever you are. And like Carly said, I've been at this for about 10 years, and I do a whole mix of things, including digital audits for nonprofits, marketing strategies, and then some of the implementation, like helping them find new donors and fans. So I have a couple of polls to kick things off and just get a sense of where you all are at. And this first one is asking, how big is your organization's email list? I'm expecting a mix here, and there is no bad answer. I know your organizations may totally range in size, and that's great. I just want to get a sense of where everyone is at. When I did a shorter version of this presentation at NTC earlier in the year, these were almost exactly 25% in each category, which was really cool. So people were all over the place.
Okay, looks like the answers are coming in. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Let's see the results.
Okay, cool. So most of you have fewer than 1,000 people on your list at this point, and then a bunch also have between 1,000 and 5,000. And then some of you have way more. Awesome. Okay. Second question for all of you. How often does your organization use digital ads, paid advertising, to collect new contacts? And I'm definitely expecting the variety here too.
Yeah, you are right. I'm seeing answers all across the board on my end. It looks like some people are still answering though. We'll give it another minute.
Yeah, no problem. There's really been a shift here in the last couple of years where the number of nonprofits running ads at all is climbing really, really fast. And it's no longer like a dirty or a scary thing to advertise, which makes me so happy. Okay, 40% have tried it. Oh, have never tried it. 40% have tried it once or twice. Awesome. And then 20% of you are running ads regularly. Wonderful. Okay, we're all over the place and it doesn't matter at all. I think you're all going to get a lot out of this presentation regardless. So real quick, let's just level set and talk about what lead generation even is. We all know that it is a marketing tactic designed to acquire people's contact information, and that can be organic or paid. You can use SEO to draw people to your website and then capture their contact information for free, or you can use ads, and there are some other tactics too. But I think that the second piece of the definition is the piece that gets lost. It's a first date. It's really an opportunity to bond with people who are either brand new to your organization or have like maybe seen you at a couple parties, maybe been introduced, but this is the first time they're saying yes by giving you their information, knowing that you are going to follow up and contact them. So it's kind of a big step, and it's a big opportunity to woo people on the first date by learning about them, by providing something of value, and by really demonstrating your organization's brand personality so that they can really connect with you and feel like, okay, this is an organization and a community that jives with my own identity and my own values. So some of you may be familiar with Cialdini's 6 principles of persuasion. These are like some marketing 101. You may have heard of things like social proof, authority, scarcity, likability. These are the qualities that motivate people to act, to do the thing you want them to do. And you can really integrate all of these into lead generation in some really creative ways. So I'm going to share examples with you that bring some of those to life. So how much does a lead cost for a nonprofit? There are sadly not a lot of great benchmarks out there specific to our sector, but there is one great one, and that's the MNR nonprofit benchmark report that comes out every year. They're basing this data on around 200 organizations, and they do try to get a variety in terms of size and cause area. So it's not the biggest sample size, but it gives us a sense. And based on this year's report, here was the cost on some of the big platforms to generate a single lead. So on average, nonprofits were paying $439 with Meta ads, $945 with Google and YouTube ads. That excludes the Google ad grant. So that's paid Google ads, and $1260 on TikTok. So a lot of variety there from platform to platform. And then they also break it down by cause area or subsector, which I think is really interesting. So this just shows Meta ad costs. And I would say Meta is the advertising platform that I use the most for lead generation because it seems to be consistently the most cost effective. And there are a lot of fun things you can do with the creative there. So looking at Meta lead gen costs broken out, you'll see it depends on the cause area. And this is a small sample size. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. I would also say if you experiment and you kind of figure out the platform and know what you're doing, I've consistently generated leads for clients for a much lower cost than what you're seeing here, more like $1 or $1.50. So it's good to know these benchmarks and set goals appropriately, but also know that it is totally doable to beat these benchmarks. And then the last chart I want to show you from the M&R benchmark report is a breakdown of what percentage of nonprofits' advertising budgets they're devoting to lead generation. And it really varies depending on the size of the organization. So across the board, 15% of ad dollars are being spent on lead gen. And for large organizations who already have a lot of contacts, a lot of brand awareness, and probably have people coming to them and signing up naturally without them having to do a lot of that anymore, they're only spending 13% of their budgets on lead gen. Meanwhile, the smaller and the mid-sized orgs, and I know a lot of you fall in that category, are spending 22, 23% of their ad budgets on lead gen because there's a much bigger need to grow the fan base, grow the awareness, and bring in more people. I'd love to see this, and I do think that what you're investing in lead gen should depend on how small or big your organization is and how much you want to grow and whether you're positioned to grow at this time. So how do we go about generating leads, and not just any contacts, but high quality contacts and people who actually care about you, what you do, and are going to become supporters, and hopefully a percentage of whom will become donors? So the classic proven tactics, number one, quizzes. We all love taking quizzes. It's like humans cannot resist an opportunity to learn more about ourselves, and to sort of test our knowledge on the topics that matter to us, because it makes us proud to see how much we know, or maybe shocked when we see how much we don't know about a topic that we care about. Then there's educational content, lead magnets like ebooks or guides, activity books. I've seen nonprofits advertise gated video series where you exchange your contact info for access to a series of videos behind the scenes of their work, or teaching how to do something like a master class. That can be a really cool and unique way to run a lead magnet. So educational content like that builds trust. It positions your organization as the authority in your cause area on a specific topic. And if you make the content really high quality, well-researched, it doesn't have to feel stuffy though. Like, people are loving really raw video content more and more because it feels personal, as long as they can tell that you know your stuff, you've been doing this work for a long time, and you want to share it with them. Then there's advocacy campaigns, and this makes sense for some organizations more than others, but I think of petitions as like the original form of lead gen. Even when people are writing their name and email on a piece of paper on the street, that's lead generation, right? And petitions can be an insanely low cost way to generate contact information for your organization. And it doesn't need to be a petition that you're going to bring to Capitol Hill if advocacy work isn't an arm of what you do. It could be something more like a pledge, like maybe you are trying to get 10,000 people to pledge their commitment to make a change in their behavior that will have a positive impact on the world. People really like signing things and then sharing that they signed because it makes them feel good. And then they're able to show their networks, hey, look how great I am, and that I care about this thing. So we'll walk through some examples of each of these. And then the last category is direct ask. So simply asking people if they want to be on your list. It's not glamorous, but it works. It can work really well. And I have some clients who just run ads on a consistent basis, asking people, do you want to sign up for monthly updates on our work and opportunities to help support this cause all year round? And you'd be surprised how many people you'll get. And what I like about that is it's totally honest, and it kind of avoids the issue of people signing up just to get something and then unsubscribing or opting out. They're signing up knowing exactly what they're getting, and the unsubscribe rate is typically very, very low. So all four of these tactics kind of have their own pros and cons, and I think it's worth trying out multiple for your organization to see what works best and who they bring in. So I want to walk you through some examples of each, starting with quizzes. Some of you may be familiar with one of my wonderful clients, the Adventure Project. They are an international development organization. They work in multiple countries in Africa. And 2 or 3 years ago, before I started working with them, they launched this women's quiz. It's just a 3-question quiz. That's it. And you'll see on the screenshot here, they actually got a generous donor to donate a small sum on behalf of each person who takes the quiz. So there's an added incentive of you're donated 240 cents simply by taking the quiz, which I thought was a nice little boost. They actually A/B tested extensively what photo to include on this quiz landing page. And they found that this photo of this beautiful smiling woman in this bright print dress outperformed the others by a lot when they were running ads pointing to this. When Carly shares the slide deck with you all after the fact, she'll share it as a PDF, and all of these slides are linked to the actual lead magnets. So you can click through that and actually go visit all of these and take the quizzes, download the lead magnets, check them out yourself, and actually experience these, including the communication you get from these organizations after the fact, which is a super important part of the process. I love how simple this quiz is. It conveys some pretty shocking and upsetting stats and information that get people kind of riled up and wanting to take the next step to help. Then there's another very different quiz that I love. Feeding America has a Waste It or Taste It quiz that educates you on how frequently food ends up in the landfill because of minor imperfections. And this is a really fun one because it educates people on this topic. It also educates people on the fact that Feeding America does this work. We all think of them as helping to feed people in need, but we don't necessarily associate them with rescuing food that would otherwise be wasted. So by running this quiz, they're sort of educating people on a whole other sustainability aspect of the work that they do. And again, highly recommend Googling or clicking over to this quiz later and taking it yourself. But it's frustrating because you're seeing these pictures of food that looks just fine and finding out that it would never make it to the grocery store. And there's really no valid reason why. So you're sort of priming people to, you're revving people up. And then when they're done with the quiz, if you're asking them for a gift or following up and asking them for a little more information about themselves, they want to take a next step with you right away because they're in that zone. Okay, let's look at some educational content examples next. I would be remiss not to include a charity water example in every presentation I ever give because they're always doing something great. I actually came across this lead magnet from them from a Meta ad. I believe it was on Instagram. And I love so many things about this. So they've created a guide called the World Changers Guide, and it's actually targeted at children with interactive activities to foster generosity within a child. So it's for the kids, but it's also for the parents and the caretakers because they're the ones who are going to go through this guide with a child in their life. And all the while, they're both learning about charity water together. They're having a bonding moment with charity water at the center. And they're both becoming stronger advocates for this cause because they're associating it with a bonding moment and someone they love. So there are so many layers of goodness here. I also love how value and user oriented this is. This is about helping families, educators, caretakers find a way to foster generosity within children. This is not, ooh, look at us, download this guide to learn everything about charity water and how great we are. This is, we know you want your kids or your students to be wonderful, generous, global citizens of the world. Here's a tool to help you do that. It's all about them. Meanwhile, they're associating it back to the organization the entire time they're interacting with this. here's a screenshot of the ads that they were running on Facebook and Instagram promoting this guide. So you can actually take a look at this in more detail later and see the ad copy that they used, the headlines they were using here. And I found these by searching in the Facebook ads library, which is totally open to the public. So you can search for any organization and creep on the ads they've been running on Facebook and Instagram to get inspiration and just see what other organizations are up to. So that's where I actually grabbed these screenshots. And these photos are super eye-catching, scroll-stopping, really cute colors, and it's clear right away that this is kid-oriented. Okay, next up, a wonderful former client of mine, the National Breast Cancer Foundation, actually has an entire library of lead magnets. It's called their free educational guides, and I think they also refer to this as their resource library, and there is a ton in here. I highly recommend checking it out. And the user experience, the way that this is set up and really easy to navigate on their website is wonderful. The variety makes this really great because breast cancer affects a lot of different people in a lot of different ways, and there's something for everybody on here. Like just to name a few from this screenshot, there's how to talk about breast health without being awkward. Then there's healthy recipes for cancer patients ebook. And then they also have a quiz to help you find the resource that's the best fit for you based on your relationship or situation with breast cancer. So there's something for everyone here. And they're collecting really great information because based on the lead magnet that people are downloading, they can segment because they know, okay, that person downloaded something that's oriented at caretakers. This person downloaded something for breast cancer patients. So they may actually be dealing with breast cancer. This person's helping, and we can tailor all of our communication in the future based on that. So you're learning a lot without actually asking them anything. Another example I love, this was a collaboration I did last year with someone called Chris Barlow, who runs Beeline Marketing, and he is a Google Ad Grant expert. So if you need help with that, I can't recommend him enough. And he also uses lead magnets a lot with the Google Ad Grant to use those free ad dollars to generate leads for nonprofits, which I think is a brilliant use of the ad grant, and it works very, very well when there's relevant search terms that you can capitalize on for your organization. So one of his clients is a Jewish food bank in the Chicago area, and they wanted to figure out how to use the Google Ad Grant to bring in new and young donors and supporters for their organization. So Chris is brilliant. He was like, let's create a Jewish recipe book. And let's not just create it ourselves. Let's reach out to a bunch of prominent Jewish chefs and ask them to donate their recipes to the book. And he reached out to like 15 or 20 Jewish chefs. They all agreed, no problem, donated one of their recipes. He put a simple PDF recipe book together with a foreword written by the executive director of the nonprofit. And then he starts running the Google Ad Grant, targeting people who are looking for Jewish recipes, Passover recipes, searching for those specific chefs that he could even target their names. So when I mentioned Cialdini's 6 principles of persuasion, we're basically using all of them here. We have the authority and the likability factor because these are prominent chefs. They have name recognition, they have credibility. The recipes have credibility, and that's drawing people in. And that's then associated to the nonprofit because it looks like a partnership. So that like great credibility juice is rubbing off on the organization just because they're both associated with this product. The results so far have been incredible with this. I believe that Chris brought in about 800 it was somewhere between 800 and 1,000 new contacts through this recipe book just using the Google Ad Grant. And just from this cohort of new people, the organization raised $9,000 at year end from 150 brand new donors, just from people who had downloaded the recipe book in the last like 3 to 6 months before year end. So the timing was phenomenal with kicking this off in the summer, fall. This is a perfect time right now to be generating leads, welcoming new fans into your list so that you have a little time to communicate, build a bond with them before year-end fundraising. Okay, that was educational content, lead magnets of all shapes and sizes. Now I want to look at advocacy campaigns, which I know may not feel like the right fit for everyone, but I do think there are ways for more organizations to do something like this than people realize. So my first example is a case study from back when I worked with a marketing agency called Mighty Citizen. They are a wonderful nonprofit marketing firm, and we had a client called Humanity and Inclusion. And they do a lot of work around landmines, demining areas that still have active landmines and trying to make policy change happen around getting countries to stop producing and selling landmines. And they wanted to run a petition, get a bunch of names to take back to the Biden administration to make some policy changes, with the secondary goal of collecting all of these new contacts to hopefully nurture these people to become donors. So we ran a bunch of meta ads, Facebook and Instagram ads. Here are 2 screenshots of what those look like. So we tested a few different looks and feels in terms of the photography being more political versus more focused on their beneficiaries, did a little bit of testing. And we ended up bringing in petition signatures for an average cost of 60 cents. So if you think back to those M&R benchmarks, and it said the average this year for meta ads was $4.39, I'm telling you, you can blow those benchmarks out of the water. 60 cents is very little money to pay for a new contact on your list who you know cares about a topic, an area of work that you do, so that you can continue to steward that relationship. So that one was a big win, and they did end up persuading the Biden administration to make the changes that they wanted them to make. So the success was twofold here, which is really cool. And then here's a classic example that we all know about, we've all seen before, the Human Rights Watch equality stickers. Maybe we all think of this as a big brand awareness play, but it's actually also a lead generation campaign because people have to give their contact info to get a sticker in the mail. And I can't even imagine how many millions of people have come to this organization because they wanted one of these stickers. And this accomplishes so many things for the organization. They're capturing the contacts of people who whose values align with the organization and the work they're doing. Those people are then proudly displaying these stickers, looking at them probably every day on their bumper or their water bottle, and that builds their affinity for the organization every single time they see that symbol. It strengthens that relationship. And then they're spreading brand awareness for free for the organization by driving around with this on their car or having it on their laptop or whatever. So it has so many different marketing benefits all at once. I think for something like this to be successful, your organization either has to have some degree of brand awareness already or be working in an area that's very relevant, timely, maybe associated with like a political topic or a current event where people are jazzed enough about it that they're going to want to display a symbol of their support for what you do. But it could be really cool to test this out with just a small amount of inventory and just see how it goes. Okay, and then last but not least, direct ask. So about a year and a half ago, I was working with a client called the Antarctic and Southern Ocean Coalition, and we had been using Meta ads to raise some money at year end, and we tried using them for fundraising. And it's expensive to use ads to ask for donations. So we wanted to try lead gen instead and see if that was a better use of their marketing dollars. So this was super easy to set up a campaign. We just used stock photography. It helps that they are saving animals because everyone loves to see photos of sweet wildlife. So stock photos, and then we tested a bunch of different ad text and a bunch of different headlines, which you can do on Meta with a feature called Dynamic Creative. It actually lets you test all of these different variations in every possible combination automatically without you having to do anything. And then you can see the results on the back end and see, okay, which photo drove the most leads at the lowest cost, which headline, which ad text. And over time, you kind of figure out the winning recipe and you can just start running ads with those winning pieces, and your performance just continues to improve. So with our first round of these ads, I think we brought in leads at an average cost of $1.14. And then we did another month round and got it down to about $1.10. And the first batch of these ads was back in September. So we looked to see, are these people staying on the list? And sure enough, the unsubscribe rate was like 0.002% or something, very, very low. And they've already had a handful of people donate from these ads. And that takes time. It takes time to add someone to your list and foster that relationship to the point where they're going to become a donor. So I do think patience is a virtue there, but you will start to see some people, a couple of people giving right away, which is really, really cool and a really good sign. I also want to show you what the landing page experience looked like here, because running nice ads is important, but where people land when they're actually going to sign up for your list is even more important, because if this is really clunky, or it's not obvious how to fill out the form, or you're asking for a lot of pieces of personal information, people are going to bounce like crazy. And you're also giving people a taste of what your communication is going to be like. So the simpler, the more clean and inviting this experience is, that's a preview of what they can expect from you. So here's the landing page we've been using for this client's ad campaign. We're asking for name, email. It's super clear in the headline what they're signing up for. The subheader is explaining what they can expect by signing up. The button it's all above the fold. They don't have to scroll to fill out the form. And then this sweet background photo of baby penguins is like the cherry on top. So making sure that the user experience, the sign up experience, is as simple and clean as possible, and telling people what they can expect from being added to your list is super important if you're going to try this direct ask approach. Okay, those were the examples I wanted to share. And now I just want to talk through some additional tips for success. So first off, I really recommend every organization try the direct ask approach because it's super easy, but also try creating a lead magnet of some kind, like that recipe book or an ebook or a quiz. And just try to have fun with it and do something creative that showcases your brand personality and what's unique about your organization. I came across an organization that around Halloween time, they created pumpkin carving templates that people could print out at home, tape on the pumpkin, and carve out shapes that were like beautiful Native American symbols. And then each one had a story associated with it, with the meaning, and that organization advocates for Native people and protecting Native lands. So what an awesome creative way to provide something that people want and need, create a special moment for people, especially with their kids or together with their family, that they're going to associate back to your organization, and they're learning about your work along the way. So I thought that was another great example of just being creative and thinking about how you can solve a need or provide a fun experience for people. My second tip is to run ads. Organic lead generation is an important part of the puzzle. I think like SEO, optimizing your lead magnet web pages so that they show up in search results is awesome, super important, but also test out running some meta ads or LinkedIn or leveraging your Google ad grant with free ad dollars to direct people to a lead magnet. It's a great way to capitalize on search related to a topic that's maybe like adjacent to what you do. So if someone's searching for pumpkin carving templates, then that organization could have been using their Google ad grant to run ads for that and capture those people who would never find their organization otherwise. And then I mentioned this a little bit, but clearly state what people can expect from being on your list. The last thing you want to do is to kind of try to be sneaky about the fact that you're going to keep contacting these people. Everyone knows when they take a quiz or sign up to download something that they're on your list now and they're going to hear from you. But you can use that sign up thank you page to say, thanks so much for downloading this or for signing up. Here's exactly what you can expect from us. People appreciate that, and they're less likely to unsubscribe if they're prepared. Okay, this one's really important. Have an email welcome journey in place before you do any lead gen. So this is a series of at least 4 to 6 automated emails that someone should receive spread out by a day or 2 days or 3 days each when they first get added to your list. That's educating them about what you do, maybe trying to find out more about them, inviting them to reply and answer a question or take a brief survey to tell you a little bit more information. This is when you really want to like deepen the bond, have a second, third, fourth date with these people, and it's all automated. So you don't have to be sending out these emails. That's critical at that early stage of the relationship to keep it going with steady communication. Ask these people for more personal information and then use it. So instead of making your sign up form a mile long and requiring people's like phone number, address, all of these different things that can deter people from signing up, ask them for more info after the fact. Use the thank you page or your welcome series to send people a brief survey or a poll to learn what you need to learn. And then you actually use that information to improve their experience, whether it's segmenting them based on the area of your work that's most interesting to them, or segmenting them based on where they live. If you send out like regional information, only ask for what you're actually going to use to improve their experience with you. And then my last tip is you can actually track leads in the new Google Analytics 4, as what's called a cohort, so that you can track your relationship with them over time. So say you run a lead gen campaign for a month in July and it's around a quiz. You can go into your Google Analytics and create a cohort for anyone who hit the thank you page after filling out that quiz. And you're labeling them as like July quiz completions in Google Analytics. It creates a sort of a label or tag for those people, and it can sort of follow them around and still know that it's them. So months later, you can actually look back and see, okay, all the people who took that quiz in July, did any of them go on to donate? Are any of them now monthly donors? Are they opening our emails? Like, what does their engagement look like? Have they revisited our website, or did we never see anything from them again? It's a really great way to find out which lead generation tactics are working best for you to bring in people who actually want to hang out with you and stay engaged and become donors, volunteers, whatever it is you're hoping they'll do next. And I would be remiss not to promote a lead magnet of my own. If you would like a guide to sort of walk you through step by step how to design a lead generation campaign, how to think about audience, channels, budget, set goals, I have this campaign planning workbook on my website at marketeronamission.work/tools. And it's a Google Doc, or you can download it as a PDF or print it out, however you like to work. And it's an actual workbook where it'll prompt you to fill in each step. And at the end, you will have a campaign plan ready to go. Okay, that's all from me. I would love to take any questions. It looks like there's a bunch in the chat. So let's do it.
Hello. Yes, I do have a lot of questions for you.
Awesome. I'll take them.
Awesome. Okay, so to take it back towards the very beginning of your presentation, you showed us that awesome graphic that broke down how the leads sometimes cost different based on the cause and the type of organizations. And Jody actually was wondering if you had any idea why that might be.
That's a really good question. I actually posted on LinkedIn a week or two ago about the fact that, in my experience, animal welfare organizations are generating leads at a cost so much lower than any other type of organization. And same with fundraising from ads, because you see a sweet kitten or a puppy, there's nothing like controversial or loaded about it, and everybody loves it. I think some cause areas are just more heartwarming, universally understood.
Maybe universal. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, where there's not really any educating that has to happen before someone wants to save the penguins, for example. Versus if you do work that's a little more complex or a little more removed from the person receiving services at the end, you have more educating to do, and it can be a little more challenging and therefore a little more expensive. But I also think the sample size from the M&R benchmarks is important to keep in mind, because 200 organizations, it's not a ton. And I don't think it's enough to know for sure that like a hunger organization needs to spend more than some other cause area.
That makes sense, right? And then also is where that A/B testing you were talking about would come into play, like just to know what ad might make you the most leads.
And the last piece of that answer is you got to think about who's on these platforms. Facebook is the platform that is the cheapest to run ads, and who's spending the most time on Facebook is women ages 45 plus, and especially 65 plus. So raising money for like children, cats and dogs is a lot easier with that age group. Whereas if you're trying to reach younger people on a platform like Instagram or TikTok with fewer users, where it's more competitive, it's going to be more expensive.
As Megan says, she says that that is her demographic, and it makes her very uncool with her team.
But it's the cheapest for advertising, Megan. So pros and cons.
Okay, so Jody had another question. When we were talking about the quizzes, how do you recommend sharing them to generate the leads? What is like the best way to actually share them?
Ooh, there are a bunch of free and low cost tools you can use for actually setting up quizzes. I'm going to ask my buddy Chris, the one from the recipe book case study, what he used to create that and what he uses for quizzes. And I'll post on LinkedIn about it soon, because I'm not sure the best tool, but there are free and low cost ones out there that'll you can just download a CSV of the people who have signed up. Or if you want to get fancy, you could use a tool like Zapier and actually automate pulling people from that tool into your email list or your CRM.
Oh yeah, looks like we got some love for Zapier in the
chat. Awesome.
And then Dr. Kim had a question about the Jewish Food Bank example that you gave. Do you know if the Jewish Food Bank measured the new donations that it got through Google ad conversions only, or did they include other measures when they did that?
So that those numbers that I shared, them raising about $9,000 from 150 new donors, that was specifically people who they tracked, who came through the recipe book from the Google Ad Grant and then went on to give. So that was not like their total fundraising at year end, specific to those new leads, which is really cool.
Wow, that is really cool. And just that example in particular, like I was chatting on my own with my colleague Natalie, we were like, oh wow, this would be a really cool thing for us to do as well, like something along those lines. So thanks for sharing that.
Totally.
I think those were all the questions that I had in the chat. If anybody else has any others, go ahead and drop those in now.
I will add one more thing on the Jewish food bank example. Some of the work I did on that project was mapping out an outline for their email strategy for an entire year to keep these people engaged. So right away, when people were joining the list, they were getting super valuable email content on topics like how to celebrate Jewish holidays on a budget, or if you're not a confident cook, or what is actually the meaning of this Jewish holiday. So we developed a lot of email content with these younger and new donors in mind, thinking about how can we help them? Like maybe they want to be more connected to their history, their ancestry, their faith. And we really used email to keep building those relationships in those months between them downloading the book and being asked to donate.
I love that. Yeah, I think focusing really on the education and like the value first stuff is just so important.
Yeah.
Oh, we did get another question. Can you give some examples of engagement after a lead?
So right after someone signs up, I think the thank you page right after someone completes a quiz or downloads a guide or a coloring book or whatever the thing is a really valuable space, because they've just taken this step with you, gone on this first date with you. They're thinking about you. They clearly have time in this moment. They're paying attention. That's a great moment to either host a little survey or a little poll being like, we'd love to learn a little bit more about you. Do that right there. Or ask them, hey, we have this monthly giving program. Here's more information with a form to donate right now if you want to. So seizing that opportunity, I think, is really important. And then having the email welcome journey in place, so you know they're getting communication from you at least for a couple of weeks. And also then pulling them into your list and the appropriate segment if you do segmentation. So then they're off to the races and you know they're going to keep hearing from you.
That's such a good point. We actually have quite a few people that use MemoryFox right after a donation or something like that, where they can then submit a written testimonial about why they gave or something like that, so they can get the real-time content. Yeah.
That is a brilliant idea. If someone signs up for a lead magnet or signs a petition on a specific topic and you wanted to get a quote or a little video from them saying why they care, why do they care about that topic? That creates a real bonding moment. And I think people would be excited to do it. I was also noodling on how you could use MemoryFox content to generate leads. And I think you could use video testimonials to run ads asking people to join your community. And I would be so interested if anyone tries that to know how that goes.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot more people start to make ads, especially on Meta. I see them a lot in like Instagram stories that are just really authentic videos of people just, sitting like me and you right now. And just, I find that there's a really compelling.
I love that. And TikTok is still expensive, but it's getting cheaper all the time. And if that's a space that makes sense for your organization to play, then that raw video content is obviously even more important.
Okay, well, I think that's all we have for questions. So thank you so much for all these great ideas. Like I said, I know I have 1,000 ideas from this. I hope you all do too. And now I'm just going to talk to you all a little bit about MemoryFox. So,
bye. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Okay, so just a little bit about MemoryFox, just so you all know why we're here. Let me just get this. Oh, I think I shared the wrong thing. 1 second. Okay, here we are. So I really like to start off with this question because I think we all know how to speak about our mission in words. We all know what our mission is, but a lot of times it's interesting to know, can you show people what your mission is? And the question really is, if you are not showing people your mission through photos, videos, or written testimonials, what's stopping you? And we find that right now, a lot of nonprofit professionals are telling us there's really 3 pain points that are stopping people from sharing their mission in this way. Number 1 would be collecting content from your community can just be like pulling teeth. These are real quotes, like pulling teeth. And also number 2 would be organizing content can be frustrating and time consuming. And 3, a lot of organizations just need a more efficient and modern way to share their story. So we actually created a technology platform that does address these 3 pain points specifically. So step 1 would be the collection, step 2 is the organization process, and step 3 is the actual sharing. I'm just going to dig into each one of them very briefly for you. So when you think about collecting your content with MemoryFox, you are going to generate a campaign link and you're going to send it directly to the person that you're going to want to receive that story from. So that might be your program participants, it might be your board members, it might be your donors. And that's going to really show up to them as either a QR code or a hyperlink. They'll open it up on their own device and they'll go through just a simple process where they will then submit their photo, video, or written testimonial to you. The thing that is really, really great about this, besides that it's on their own device where they're most comfortable sharing their story, also is that there is no download or login required. So with that, there is just almost no barrier for people to use it. And the other thing that I personally love about it from my previous experience working at a nonprofit in the marketing field is that you capture the consent up front. So you don't have to go back and double check with people if it's okay to use the photo. They already have agreed to it because of that process in the steps. So once they submit a video, photo, or written testimonial to you, it's going to automatically populate in your MemoryFox story bank. Here's an example of what that would look like. And it's just going to automatically populate right at the top if it's the most recent submission, but you have the ability to really organize it for however makes the most sense for your organization, which really is just the best way to do it instead of having things, maybe some things living in your email or some things living in your downloads folder. It's all just going to be right there in your story bank. You can bulk upload everything you have existing, and then you can go ahead and tag things by how it makes sense for you. Maybe it's by program, maybe it's by department, maybe it's by the way you're going to use the content. A lot of times we see people tagging things as annual reports so they can remember to use that story when it's time to make that annual report. And one really big thing about the organization is that we do offer unlimited storage, so you don't have to worry about when you get a bunch of new content, you don't have to worry about the price increasing. And then finally, the third step is sharing, which is arguably the most important step, right? Because that's how you're going to meet those organizational goals, either raise more money or help or just do whatever the goal you're trying to do with your campaign. A couple ways that we support you in the sharing process is we actually have our own story builder tool. And what that is going to do is help you create a web page that you can embed in your website or you can send directly to somebody. And that is going to be a way that you can share several stories in one spot. So if you have maybe a bunch of thank you stories that you want to send out from your program participants to your donors, that's one way you can do it. Or maybe you have some scholarship stories that you want to send out to people who donated to your scholarship fund, just to show the success that the program had that they firsthand impacted. And then we also are integrated with Canva. So as you can see here, it's really easy to just drag and drop your MemoryFox content into Canva because we are integrated. And that just means that anytime that somebody submits a photo, video, or written testimonial to your MemoryFox story bank, it's going to also automatically populate in your Canbook. So if anybody is interested in learning more about MemoryFox or doing a little bit of a deep dive, I would really love it if you would connect with one of our expert storytellers. There's the QR code and the link to do so. Just so you all know, we do offer equitable pricing, and that is just because we really feel like every nonprofit deserves to tell their story. We want to help give them the opportunity to do so. So the pricing would be based on your $9.90, and I would just love it if you would, if you're interested, go ahead and connect with one of our expert storytellers. And that's all I have for you today. So thank you all for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.